First round of the NFL draft is over, and there are a lot of talking points like they are every single year. Some reaches, some steals, some big names going at the top that we all expected. And we're gonna try something we've never done before. We're gonna grade every single pick of round one of the NFL draft.
Hey guys, what do you think of my Rob Lowe NFL hat?
You love all the picks.
Yeah, I'm just a fan of the draft.
Being a Bills fan, the draft used to mean so much more. Thursday night, I had to wait around until pick 30. I'm used to Bills going 3 and 13 and a nice early pick, so this was a different draft for me, that's for sure.
The format for this is going to be pretty simple. We're just going to go around and give letter grades for every pick of the first round. And the first two picks were kind of chalk, so we'll start there.
I wish I had teachers as easy as I am going to be grading this draft, because I got a lot of A+ across my board. And this starts with Trevor Lawrence. After his freshman year, it was a lock he was going to be the first overall pick. Won national championship. This is a slam dunk of a pick. There was no other choice but Trevor Lawrence to go first overall, and the Jags made the right pick.
Chalk it up as an A+. Like, this is a slam dunk pick. Why were they supposed to not take Trevor Lawrence? Like,
it's one of those things where, like, we've known since 2018 that this guy is going to be the first overall pick in the 2021 draft. We've known it for 3 years, and I think at that point it becomes boring. The guy is elite. He's got elite float. He's probably been the most hyped quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck in 2012. It's an A+ for me too. Jacksonville, you got your savior.
How much better than Sam Darnold is Zach Wilson going to be, at least early on in his career? Because the Jets really could have traded that pick away. They could have accumulated a ton of assets, actually built a real team around Sam Darnold for the first time in his career, but instead they ship him off. They make somewhat of a lateral move with Wilson. I actually think Wilson is going to have a pretty tough time in his rookie season because he's a good player still. I'm going to say this is probably a B.
I will go even harsher, Jesse. Let's call this a C-. It's hard to know the validity of his numbers. BYU played a pretty soft schedule last year, and I'm not gonna lie, I watched his whole pro day. That one throw was amazing.
First of all, Steve mentioned, oh my goodness, that is just a silly throw.
I think the Jets stink is gonna rub all over Wilson. I don't think they have enough talent around him, and I don't think this is gonna go well for the Jets.
My grade for it is a B as well. Kid's got a cannon on him. That's absolutely obvious, and I know PFF grades him pretty nicely, especially on the deep ball. I think he has the best passer grade on the deep ball out of these QBs. Those things are good, but like, the Jets are not very talented skill position wise.
They've just been a poorly managed team. It's a lot of pressure playing in New York too. This is going to be tough for Wilson.
The San Francisco 49ers, they played us all. They played us all. It was Trey Lance the entire time. There's a great moment when John Lynch and Shanahan call him.
You had a hunch for a while?
Man, I didn't know, Coach. You wouldn't tell me nothing.
Hey, we didn't tell anybody, man.
I know.
I thought you could tell though, the way I thought you got a vibe, but hey, dude.
I did, but I didn't. I didn't know, Coach.
Hey, man, it was all worth it, man. Dude, we're so pumped.
It's an A for me. I understand the concerns with Trey Lance. He's thrown the fewest pass attempts of a quarterback that's drafted in the first round in the last 40 years. Small school, Division II, only 1 year as a starter. But I think the physical tools are there. Man, Kyle Shanahan has never had a quarterback like this. Like, maybe RG3 is like the closest. And I'm excited to see how this is going to work out in San Fran.
To me, it's everything they're saying about him in terms of his smarts and reading the game. I think Schefter tweeted yesterday, his psychological exam was off the charts, that the Niners thought he's the smartest quarterback in the draft by far. And when you pair that kind of intelligence at the position with a guy like Shanahan, sky's the limit. On the high end, it could be an A+, but it could also be an incomplete because we just don't know enough about Lance by not watching him last year. So I'm going to say B+.
First of all, I want to say Trey Lance is definitely the coolest name in the draft, if I have to say. Trey Lance. It's just wicked. But the question is, how long is Lance going to take to develop? There is some risk with the Lance pick, so I'm still going to give it a B+ because I think he's got tons of skill. But all I'm saying is that there is definitely some risk with this pick, no question.
He's also got a dog named Niner, so I think it all just meshes perfectly. Just a little.
It was just meant to be it.
That's a
just
great
a little
stat.
fun fact there.
Kyle Pitts at 4. This is like the most obvious pick in the draft. You cannot say this man's name without saying matchup nightmare. And the way the tight end position is in the NFL this year, it's just a perfect fit. I am so excited next year for the Falcons as a fantasy team. You have him, you have Julio, you have Calvin Ridley. Matt Ryan could have a nice little redemption season next year with all these weapons. To me, this is an obvious A+. This was the most obvious pick in the draft.
If you look at the Atlanta Falcons, they were in a position to draft their quarterback of the future and they didn't. Personally, I think just based off of the type of player this is and how he'll fit into that offense with the other pieces that he'll have around him, tons of room for growth, big potential. I'll still give it an A, but I wouldn't say that it was necessarily a slam dunk of a pick, Hein.
It's an A for me. Highest drafted tight end in NFL history. This draft has some great receivers. He's the best pass catcher of all of them.
Look, I know people were vouching for the offensive line here, especially after what happened to Joe Burrow last year, but I actually like this pick. They're bringing the band pack together, baby. The Bengals have a pretty dangerous offense right now. I would not want to mess with them, and for those reasons, I'm giving this one a nice B+.
This is one of many college teammates reunited. And on that point, I think that's really cool. But did you see when the Bengals unveiled their jerseys the other day and that big scar on Joe Burrow's knee? How do you not take Sewell here? For that reason, I'm going to give it a B. Nothing on Chase. I think Chase is going to be awesome.
I docked him a little for not taking the offensive lineman. 32 sacks in 10 games. Joe Burrow pressured 109 times in 10 games. That's a lot. This player is still incredible, and you can't fault the Bengals for being like, this is the best receiver in the draft, and he already said he wants to break all the Bengals receiving records, so that's pretty cool too. I'll give it an A-. Jalen Waddle to the Miami Dolphins. I'm going to give this one a B+. Anytime he touches the ball, he's a yak machine. So this really is just going to add a boost to the Miami offense. This Miami offense is actually rounding out to be something that is going to be enjoyable to watch and hopefully will allow Tua to succeed to his full potential.
They already have Will Fuller, so I didn't get this pick. I like Waddle. I think Waddle's good. Obviously, they were seduced by the speed. You can't cover this guy one-on-one, but I think Devonta Smith would have been a better fit. Having said that, this guy is so fast. He's so fun. He's a big play home run hitter. I think he'll be a good player, but I thought Smith may have made a little more sense, so I'm going to give that a B-.
Speed kills in the NFL, and didn't Nick Saban say that he's like the quickest guy he's seen coming out of breaks? Like that's crazy praise coming from Nick Saban. I actually love this pick. I'll give this pick a B+. I like that you can stick him on special teams too. That's a pretty big plus as well.
I love this Sewell pick for the Lions. I mentioned before, Trevor Lawrence and Pitts were the can't-miss guys. I put Sewell right below them in this category. And when you have a team that's run by Dan Campbell as your head coach...
Wow! That's a very exciting draft room. That's outstanding. That's outstanding.
Of course, you're going to go with a gritty offensive lineman. This guy can be plugged in, be a 10-year tackle. You would all love to have me as a teacher in school. I'm giving this one another A+. I think this is my third A+ of the first 7 picks.
I'm going to give this one an A+ as well. And this is what I'm going to say about the Detroit Lions, okay? I think the Lions need to just keep building, and then next year or the year after, go get your quarterback and finally be a legit team, because the Detroit Lions, sorry, but you've been, other than the New York Jets, the most pathetic team in the league for years. And it had nothing to do with Matthew Stafford. It had everything to do with your inability to build the right team around him. This is a good stepping stone, and keep it up.
He'll have 2 QB hits and over 400 pass block attempts as a 19-year-old and just 1 sack in 13 games. Those are ridiculous numbers. Kind of like Trevor Lawrence, greatness is just boring. This guy's been talked about as the best lineman in this class for a long time. It's an A+. It's a can't-miss guy.
I think the Panthers did a pretty good job with this pick. J.C. Horn also seems like a great personality as well. At the same time, with Slater on the board, you could have grabbed a great left tackle for Sam Darnold, your new piece that you gave up a decent amount of assets for. But still, I think Horn's a nice piece. I'm going to give it a B.
I'll also give that a B. There's something about legacy kids that I just think that they're going to be better pros because they've seen their father go through it. This is Joe Horn's son. I like this pick. I think it makes the most sense. They picked best player available.
I'm giving it a B too. Love that he's Joe Horn's son. Hopefully he has an epic touchdown celebration like Joe did.
Everything he does is perfect.
Number 87. The touchdown is good.
He absolutely locked up some of the nation's best receivers. He held Jalen Waddle to 12 yards, Jerry Jeudy to 7 yards, Kyle Pitts to 20 yards. And so that's what you want in Carolina, especially for a team that had just 7 interceptions last season, the second fewest in the NFL. This is what you're looking for. Oh, I've been wrestling with this one. I've had like a night to sleep on it and really digest it. If they end up with Aaron Rodgers, this pick is an A+. For now, it's a B-. Kyle Fuller's on a 1-year deal, and Bryce Callahan expires next year too. So you have a guy like Patrick Surtain that can just step in at the end of next year, be your number one corner. I think I'll feel better about it once Denver's QB situation kind of gets solved.
I'm going to go off the board here. I'm going to give this grade an incomplete. If you're not trading for Aaron Rodgers, then it is a crime that you did not take Justin Fields or Mac Jones. Personally, I would have preferred Fields, but you have to take one of those quarterbacks here if you're the Broncos. There's no way he wouldn't take a quarterback unless he thought he had a shot at Rodgers.
I think I'm going to judge him as a player and go with a B here, and here's why. Although it sucks if they passed up on a quarterback, it is worth the risk to try to go for Rodgers and continue to build around him. So if you take Surtain and then you add Aaron Rodgers to the mix as well, that's arguably the best team in the league.
Shocker, but in case you were wondering, I am giving this Devonta Smith to the Eagles an A+ again. Told you before I'm an easy grader, but I love Devonta Smith. He's probably my favorite player in this draft. The numbers are ridiculous. Heisman Trophy winner. All it cost Philly was a 3rd-round pick just to move up to hop 2 spots to get arguably what I think is the best receiver in the draft.
Bringing the band back together, you just love to see it. I just love this pick. I thought Philly did a really good job. They got the player they wanted without having to give up too much. A+.
It's an A for me on Devonta Smith. I don't care that he's undersized. He runs routes so crisp, so beautifully. Like, route running is an art, and he is probably the best artist at it in this draft class.
The Bears gave up a lot, but they did what they had to do to get the player that they needed. No one is going to fault the Bears for doing what they did. I think this was actually a move that they had to make, where the fan base would have been like, well, Justin Fields is on the board. Why are we not trading up to grab him? This is a guy who could, be a legend in Chicago. There's weapons for Fields to work with too. He doesn't necessarily have to come in right away. I think this is a fantastic pick for the Bears. I'm going to give them an A.
I'm going to go with a B+ for this. I'm shocked that he lasted that far. The only reason I put it back and it's not an A or an A+ is just because they gave up a ton to get there.
The Bears haven't had a good quarterback since like Jim McMahon. I'm giving it an A++. I don't even know if I could do that, but I am, because he's just so dynamic. He's so elusive. That Clemson game, I just can't get out of my mind. And I'm just so happy for Allen Robinson. Jesse, I know he's a hero of yours. A staple on your fantasy football teams. Let's go Allen Robinson. Let's go Bears. Cowboys and Eagles never make trades, so the fact that they made a trade in the draft, very cool, very fun. And the Cowboys, they accumulate some draft picks, which is great, and they get the best linebacker in the draft in Micah Parsons. I'm still going to give it a B+. There's something about athletic linebackers, like freaky athletic linebackers, that I worry about in the first round. All things considered, though, Parsons seems like he's on another level.
This was a need pick. That Cowboys defense was hot garbage last year. They needed a guy who can go sideline to sideline, who can cover, who can stop the run, who can rush the passer, and his versatility is really needed in Dallas, and I think it's a good fit. So because of that, I'll give it a B+.
I just feel like the Cowboys are always drafting linebackers. Like, am I crazy for saying that? Like Vander Esch, Jalen Smith. I'm going to give this one a C+. I thought the Cowboys maybe could have done better, but at the same time, I'm also going to factor in that they were able to get another draft pick by moving down, which I thought was a smart move.
I'm going to go back to my logic with the Bengals. If you have a great young quarterback, I think it's really important to protect him. People were saying Slater could have went ahead of Sewell. To get him at 13 is nice value. He's super versatile, can play both tackle spots, can even play a little bit of guard. I feel terrible because I'm keep giving these A's like crazy. I'm just handing out A's to everybody, but I'm going to give this one an A.
I'm going to give this one an A too. I love Justin Herbert. He is the man. If you can protect him, you can go. The Chargers are going to be a competitive team every year.
A+ for me. They knocked this out of the park. Didn't have to move up. Slater fell in their lap. Chargers team to look out for.
Mr. Elijah Vera Tucker. Fellas, I like the pick. If you're going to go out and get a franchise quarterback, as we were just speaking about with Herbert, you got to protect him. I think this is a nice step. They traded up to get him. Going to be very nice beside Becton. Going to give it a B+.
I'm complete opposite. It's a C+ for me. They gave up way too much to move up. 2 third-round picks? Those are valuable when you're a team like the Jets that you have so many holes you have to fill.
Why are you giving up so much draft capital for a guard? This is the 14th pick. You did not need to move up to get this guy. I think he could be an okay player, but I just think they kind of gave up too much to get him, so I'm going to go with a C.
The 5th quarterback of the first round, Mac Jones. He didn't go at 3, he goes at 15. My gut is telling me this is a B- because I just don't think Mac Jones is good. I know this is Bill Belichick's first quarterback he's drafted in the first round, so that in itself is crazy to think about, but Belichick doesn't really have a great track record drafting quarterbacks outside of the first round. Talk about the Ryan Malletts, the Jimmy Garoppolos. They think that Mac is going to be the next Tom Brady. I hate the comparison. Tom Brady's an anomaly. You're not going to get another one of him.
I think if the Niners would have taken him at 3, I would have given that a C or a D. I think because the Pats didn't have to move and he slipped all the way down to 15, I'm going to give this a B- just because they didn't move up to get him and they sort of let the chips fall where they did and he came to them. So I think that's a little better. But I do not think he's going to be a good NFL quarterback.
I don't know. I just got this weird feeling that Mac Jones is going to do pretty well in New England. But for where he went, given that he almost went in the top 3, I'm probably going to give this one a B, but we'll just have to wait and see how he does. I like the fact that he played at Alabama too. And you always like to see these guys who are taken a little later. They have the chip on their shoulder. He's not going to forget that the other quarterbacks were drafted ahead of him.
Okay, Xavier Collins next. Honestly, I'm going to give this a B+ just because it's such a really cool story. This guy wasn't recruited by anybody, went to Tulsa, was a valedictorian in high school, turned himself into a first-round pick. I don't know if you saw any of the highlights from him. Looks like he can move. He's kind of like a queen on the chessboard. You can sort of move him all over the place. I just think this is a cool story. It fits a need for Arizona.
I'm a B on it, and I don't know if you heard his call with Cliff Kingsbury and Steve Keim.
You ready to roll?
Steve, we're going to kill everyone. We're going to kill everyone.
I like it. I like it, man. Keep that mentality.
And we're going to get a Super Bowl ring so big on our finger that a show dog wouldn't be able to jump over.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, good. We'll keep that attitude.
Incredible. I want to run through a wall for him. And I think it's just a really nice pairing with him and Isaiah Simmons. Vance Joseph, he's got something cooking over there. He's got something cooking in Arizona. I know they need a corner as well, but man, they're going to be a fast, athletic team.
This is going to be one of the more well-balanced teams in the league next year. I like the pick. Luke, I'll go with you. I'll go with a B. The Raiders are a team. They love to protect their quarterback. They just lost Rodney Hudson. They also just lost Trent Brown. I get it. But was Leatherwood really the right pick here? I mean, wasn't this guy projected to go in like the second round? There were better offensive linemen taken after him. This is just a brutal pick. Third year in a row, the Raiders seem to have dropped the ball. I'm not going to count out Henry Ruggs yet, but I'm going to give this one a hard D.
I'm also going to go with a D. ESPN's draft predictor had Leatherwood as a 60% chance of going at pick 46. You did not need to take this guy at 17.
I am aligned with both of you. It's a D for me. I don't know what's going on anymore. Damon Arnett, Henry Ruggs, Cleveland Farrell, Jonathan Abram. This franchise is in shambles.
Glenn on. Love you, man. We needed a quarterback on the team who had a lot of neck. We got a good guy for that, man.
I read a tweet that Jalen Phillips almost retired and became a music producer. Phillips stays in Miami, which is really nice, and I think Brian Flores, he's built a really good defense, Brian Flores has in Miami, so this is another piece. First pass rusher off the board. I'm going to give it a B-.
So I kind of wanted Phillips to go to the Bills just because edge rusher is a need, but this guy's red flag is the injuries. The upside, yeah, he could be great, and at which point the pick's an A+, but if he has all these injuries then and he's not in the field, then it's kind of an F. So I think we'll give this one a B- just because there's so much uncertainty.
I'm going to give this like a B+ because from watching his highlights, he just wreaks havoc on the line. I'm pretty sure Collinsworth thinks that he might even be the single best defensive player in the entire draft. So I really like this pick for Miami. I think Washington just addresses a nice need here. Another guy who's just going to step in and have every opportunity to succeed behind a dominant front four. Crazy athlete, 6.5, 230. Let's give it an A-. Why not?
I'm with Jesse on this. I give this an A. This is just a strong defense getting even stronger. Washington last year was dominant. 6th in the NFL in points allowed, 21.2 a game. 5th in the NFL in sacks, 2.9 a game. They need a quarterback, but you're not getting a quarterback at 19. So just invest in where you're already. It's just add strength to strength, and that's exactly what Washington did.
I'm going to give it an A- as well. Davis is going to clean up behind this front four. They are disruptive. He is going to fill gaps, rack up tackles, sacks, maybe a few of those, some interceptions. Sneaky candidate for Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Kadarius Toney next. I am giving this, I'm very conflicted on this grade because I liked him at Florida. Like, the guy is a good wide receiver. I don't know if he should have gone this high. I'll give this a B-, only because I think Gettleman, for the first time in his career, traded back. So let's give him credit. But the actual pick here, I like him personally. I think he was a good player, but I'm not sure that the process was correct here with the Giants and Dave Gettleman.
Props to Dave Gettleman. You pick up the extra first from Chicago, which is a nice thing. I'm going to keep that out of this grade because I think they bungled this, and I'm going to give it a C. Toney is someone that didn't have a lot of opportunities to touch the ball at Florida. When he did, made the most of it for sure, but I just see so many weapons in that Giants offense now. Where do you fit him in? And more importantly, is he a player that you have to manufacture touches for? Because his success against man and press coverage might lead you to believe he is. 13th percentile in success against man coverage. That's not good. First percentile against press coverage. That's not good. I don't know. I don't see it for me. It's a C.
I'm also going to give the Giants a lot of props for getting that draft pick because that's like a potential top 15 pick, which could be huge. I'm not in love with the pick either, but I am not going to dock them too many marks. I'm going to give them a B-.
This was the one I was waiting for. Kwity Paye's story is pretty incredible. I think he had maybe one of the more memorable moments of draft night when he told his mom she can retire.
What does it change for the prospect for your life and your family's life?
For my family, she's done working. She's retired.
His story and the fact that he is a first-round pick is just a testament to who he is as a person, who he is as a football player. I'm giving the Colts a B+ on this one. Chris Ballard finds incredible value again, like he's done ever since he stepped in the building. And the Colts really needed a pass rusher, and this is someone that has a high motor. That defense is only going to get better. It's a good team. This is a really, really good team.
He's not a complete defensive end or edge guy just yet. If he hits his ceiling, then this is a home run pick. But I think there's a high bust probability with him, so I'm going to go B-.
I don't know if it's necessarily a high bust probability. I think it's just going to take him a little longer to develop. And what I do like as well is that you've got Buckner on that line too. I really like it. I don't think all players need to develop so quickly. I'm going to give it a B.
Honestly, if this guy's healthy, this is a steal. He could be a top 10 pick if he's healthy. But multiple back surgeries, including one recently. In high school, apparently he ran a 4.240, but no one believed him, so he had to lie to slow himself down and tell people he ran a 4.340. So if this guy can run 4.2 and the injuries aren't an issue, I think it's a great pick. But for now, I go incomplete as much as Jesse hates it.
I am going to give this pick a B+ because I understand that there's risk with injury, but the Titans so desperately need some help in the secondary. I love it. B+. Only reason I'm docking it is I guess because of the injury stuff.
I'm going all the way to an A with this one. I love it. I know it's a risk. I know it's a big risk, especially after the Isaiah Wilson pick last year and how that turned out for the Titans. But a top 10 talent, you lose Malcolm Butler, you lose Adoree Jackson, so there's the need there. People have compared this guy to Richard Sherman.
Christian Darrisaw, honestly, love the pick. Vikings needed this guy, and there's nothing else to say other than the Vikings strike again. They always draft well. Going to give it an A+.
I'm going to go with a B+ here. It just seems like a good solid pick, but also we got to run on Virginia Tech Hokies. That's back-to-back.
I like what the Vikings are doing. I'm giving them an A for this pick just because they accumulated 2 third-round picks from the New York Jets for moving back, and they got a better lineman, I think, than the Jets got at that position. The people that love running backs in the first round might not like what I have to say. Najee's so good, okay? Don't get me wrong. He's really, really good. When he hurdled that Notre Dame defender in the college football semifinal, that's all you need to know about him. The guy was basically standing straight up, and he straight up hurled him. I'm going to give it a B. Running backs in the first round, the value isn't always there. You can find guys later that are just as good if they're running behind a good offensive line.
I'm going to go with a B- on this one. Does this solve the Steelers' running woes? And credit to Warren Sharp for this, who's also another, Warren Sharp, just a great football mind. Here are the Steelers' O-line run blocking rankings for the last 5 years. 31st last year, 23rd the year before, 12th the year before that, 7th the year before that, 4th the year before that. That begs the question, was the problem with the Steelers' run game last year their running backs, or was it their offensive line? Looking at those numbers, I would tend to say that it's the offensive line.
That's a great point, Hein. I'm probably going to give this one a B too, like Luka. Harris has potential to be a great player. I'm really excited to see what Najee can do in this offense.
I love this pick. I'm a person who's usually very anti-running back in the first round, but I loved Etienne. He averaged like 7 yards a carry, home run threat, great pass catcher. Certain people, you don't really look at them as running backs. You sort of look at them as offensive weapons. And I think Travis Etienne is an offensive weapon because he's such an elite receiving threat on top of being a great runner. It's another reunion of college teammates like we saw already with Burrow and Chase, with Tua and Waddle. I think this is a really good pick.
I actually thought that this was one of the worst picks in the draft. I don't get it. What are you doing if you're the Jaguars? You have James Robinson, who is just an absolute stud, who they didn't even draft last year, may we add. What kind of slap in the face is this to him? Just totally disrespectful. They also brought in Carlos Hyde. Literally, one of the only things that Jacksonville did not need was a running back. Just because I think he's a great player, I'm not going to give him an F, but I'm going to give it a D because I'm still scratching my head from this one.
This may have been one of the few spots that I didn't want to see Etienne in because I think he's a really, really good running back. I loved watching him in college. Because I like Etienne, like you said, Jesse, I'm giving it a D+, but it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Greg Newsome II, honestly, I like this for the Browns. I think the Browns already have a very stacked roster. I'm going to give it an A-.
I'm going to give this a B+ based on one quote alone. And that was, he said, if I'm not the first pick in the draft, everyone made a mistake. I love that kind of confidence with a corner. He only played 3 games last year, so we didn't get to see much of him. But that quote alone, B+.
That's a B+ quote for me too. That's a very good quote, and they've needed to find someone opposite of Denzel Ward. That Browns secondary has transformed this offseason, and Newsome figures to step in and play a nice role to that. The Baltimore Ravens drafted a wide receiver. I love this pick. I think Bateman was a guy that a lot of people looked at as the number 4 receiver in this class after the big 3. And the fact that the Ravens didn't have to move up to get him, that's a win.
I'm going to go with a B+ as well. Definitely is a big need. I just think this is a very important year for Lamar and his development, and good on the Ravens for going and getting him a weapon to try to see if they can get the most out of him.
I agree. I'm going to give this one an A-. I think the Ravens did exactly what they needed to do. We saw a little regression with Lamar last year. Let's see what happens this year. It's going to be an interesting one for him.
Peyton Turner, I'm gonna give this a D. Of all the edge rushers out there, and that's probably the position I looked at the most just because I thought that's where the Bills were going to go, and they did. He was the one I was least excited about. 9.5 sacks over a 36-game career at Houston. A lot of mocks I saw had him as a second-round pick, but he also started to climb those draft boards over the last 24 hours.
The Saints have gotten themselves in trouble when it comes to these defensive linemen recently. Marcus Davenport trading up for him. I don't think that's worked out totally well. Sheldon Rankins in recent history, and I'm giving this one a D as well.
I'm gonna give this one a C- because I agree there were some better players on the board, but at the same time, don't mind the Saints taking another pass rusher. I think the Packers addressed a need here for sure, but at the same time, like, come on, you got a pissed off quarterback. How much longer are they just not gonna give Rodgers all of the pieces that he needs to succeed? You can't just rely on this guy year in, year out with a lot of average weapons. Give this guy some more pieces. I'm giving this one a C+.
If the goal is to anger Aaron Rodgers, then I give this an A+. But since that is not the goal, I'm giving this an F. Let me just list who the Packers have drafted in the first round since Aaron Rodgers. Linebacker, defensive tackle, linebacker, offensive tackle, defensive end, safety, tackle, cornerback, and safety, Jordan Love quarterback, and then another corner. You know what you don't see there? You don't see wide receiver. You don't see tight end. You don't see running back. Why have you not once tried to make life easy for your quarterback?
I wish I could give this something worse than an F, because it deserves to be. Haven't drafted an offensive player outside of Jordan Love in the first round since 2012. That is criminal. There is no excuse for the malpractice that the Green Bay Packers organization has done to Aaron Rodgers. This has nothing to do with Eric Stokes. And if I'm being honest about him, I know he's fast. I like Asante Samuel Jr., better corner in my opinion. It's an F.
Like most edge rushers out there, a lot of upside, a lot to be excited about, but there are some red flags. He might have the biggest boom-bust variant of all these people. It's a big need. Jerry Hughes is not getting any younger. The Bills, if you go back to that AFC Championship game, Mahomes had all the time in the world. The reason the Bills lost that game is because they had no pass rush whatsoever. Brandon Beane made a point a couple of times yesterday in his presser to mention this is more of a long-term play over a short-term play. So I like that the Bills are going to be patient with him, it seems to be. So I'm going to give this a B-.
I'm going to give this one a B+. 6'7", 266 pounds. Huge! Addresses a big need for the Bills. I really like the potential of this pick.
Anyone coming out of that Miami defense, I'm a fan of because of the turnover chain. This guy was rocking it more than a few times. I'll give it a B. Jason Owe, all the edge rushers just went at the end of the round. This one makes sense to me. I mean, you lose Matt Judon in the offseason to the New England Patriots. There are a lot of things that John Harbaugh does really well. He's known for his defense, and I feel like those edge rushers, whether it be Judon or Tyus Bowser, developing these guys is something I think the Ravens take great pride in, so I think they know what they're doing. It's a B. I'll give it a B.
Luca, I'm just going to go ahead and say I'm going to give the exact same grade for all the reasons you just said.
I'm going to go B- here. The sack numbers are underwhelming, but a lot of the experts who know a lot more than us, we're just like three goons, as Jesse said before in Toronto talking about this. People seem to really like this pick. All of these edge rushers going late shows just how important getting a pass rush is.
What do you do if you're a team who just has it all? You can never have enough edge rushers, so I like the pick. I'll give it a B.
I'll go C. This team has it all. They not only won the Super Bowl, but they're bringing back the exact same roster. It's insane. It's never been done before. It's unheard of. It's unparalleled. This is really a unique year and window for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to literally run it back and have the freedom to take anybody.
I am going to give this a D just out of wanting bad things to happen to Tom Brady on a football field.
I love it. And that is our first round grades for every player drafted, 1 to 32. Let us know where we went wrong, and hopefully we get to do this next year at draft time and bring you some more NFL content.